Hey, I got this experiment from a friend of mine down in Pinkerton Academy. His name is Mr. Bartlett, and it's called Does Steel Wool Come from Warm or Cold Sheep? And it's a lab all about physical and chemical changes and properties. So let's take a look at what you need in order to be successful in this experiment. I have everything out, I think, that you should need. So your experiment calls for a 250 milliliter beaker. You'll need one of these baby food jars, and you notice that there's a hole in the lid. A thermometer. I would use my forceps to handle the steel wool, particularly after it's been soaked. You might want your spatula and these tongs to help you out as well. You need to measure out the vinegar, so you're going to use your graduated cylinder. Make sure you use the 50 milliliter graduated cylinder because it asks for 50 milliliters of water. You'll have a piece of steel wool. I've cut them into smaller pieces, so just grab something like this. A rubber band, you can get this from your teacher. And then lastly, you'll need a portion of vinegar. So there's two vinegar containers. One of them looks like this, and the other one I've marked with the words used. That means when you're done with your experiment, or you're done with the vinegar, you'll pour it back into the used container. So take it from the new, pour it back into the used. So follow your instructions as it states. It's pretty straightforward. The only part I wanted to show you here is steps 4 and 5. So basically, after I've soaked my vinegar in my, I've soaked my steel wool in my vinegar that's been in here. I'm going to take it out, I'm going to wring it out using my tongs and stuff, and then eventually I want to put it on my thermometer. Now this is the bulb end of the thermometer, so I need to wrap this on the bulb end, and you might want to like fold it over. I want to wrap that up, and I want a nice tight steel wool ball at the end there so that it captures as much heat as possible depending upon what's going to happen. Now that is part of your hypothesis, you can guess. And then I've used my rubber band, wrapped it on there so it doesn't fall off. Notice that the bulb end is covered so that when I put this in my in my jar, it should stay so that it's not touching the bottom. Now I made the mistake, I forgot to put my cover on first, so I can take off this little safety piece, slide my lid on, and then put this back on. We don't want to lose that little rubber piece there. So this will go in your jar, and then according to your instructions, and when you look at the data table, all right, that I've created for you, you'll make your initial temperature changes, temperature measurements, and your observations, and then do it every 30 seconds. So I put it in 30 seconds increments, and then also minutes, so then you can keep track using a regular clock. When you're done, after your 8 minutes, it says keep the steel wool until tomorrow, but we need to reuse the jars. So what you can do is you can open it up and then grab from the instructor a Ziploc bag and store it in the Ziploc bag. You can use a Sharpie to write your name on it, or just use a piece of masking tape and write your name on it and put it in your lab drawer so you can check it out tomorrow. When you're done, make sure everything gets cleaned. All my equipment gets returned to where you got it from, and then your equipment gets washed and then returned to your lab drawers. So that's all I can think of. Make sure you know the difference between new and used vinegar, and you pour your vinegar into the used, not down the drain. And that's it. So good luck, have fun, and hopefully you learned something. Thanks.